Good morning, happy Thursday. So for today, you'll need your planner, your binder, and pencil. And in your planner, make sure you've written down that we have a Newton's Laws study guide, which is online on Google Classroom. That is due on the 30th for Quest 1 and the 31st for Quest 2. The sooner you get started on that, the better, because you will actually get to use that during your test. And so make sure in your planner you've written down that Newton's Laws test is on the 30th for Quest 1 and the 31st for Quest 2. This is going to be happening live, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later in this lesson. And then finally, your culmination. So how do we engineer for strength? Your culmination is due for Quest 1 on April 2nd and for Quest 2 on April 3rd. My hint is don't wait until the day it's due to start, because it may take you a little while, especially if you have any technical difficulties with your video. So get started as soon as your bridge is ready and the glue is dry. You can start working on your culmination.
Welcome to the 7-minute workout. Let's start with jumping jacks in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Next, wall sit. 3, 2, 1, go! Push-ups are next. 3, 2, 1, go! Some crunches. 3, 2, 1, go! Next, step ups. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! For some squats, let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. dips are next. 3, 2, 1, go! On the floor, let's do a plank. 3, 2, 1, go! Running in place. Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Lunges are next. 3, 2, 1, go! Push up with rotation. 3, 2, 1, go! On your left side. 3, 2, 1, go! On your right side. This is the last one. 3, 2, 1, go!
So it's kind of surprising how 7 minutes of working out can actually be really hard and intense. So for today, we're going to start with reviewing the equations with Newton's second law. So how do you know which equation to choose? So for example, an object accelerates at 4 meters per second squared when a force of 16 newtons is applied to it. What is the mass of the object? Before you solve this, first choose the equation and then go ahead and solve it. To solve this equation, first I want to set up my F and M and A. So F equals 16, M equals question mark because I don't know what the mass is, and A equals 4. So I know that I need to use the equation M equals F divided by A because M is what I have for a question mark. So now I just plug in my values. M equals 16, which is the force, divided by 4, the acceleration, and my answer is 4 kilograms. Now try this one. An object that has a mass of 100 kilograms accelerates at a rate of 3 meters per second squared. What is the force on the object? If you chose F equals ma, you are correct. And the answer is 300 newtons. So again, for this, force is the question mark. Mass is 100 and acceleration is 3. So F equals ma, you multiply 100 times 3 and you get 300 newtons. Don't forget your units. Next question. A person pushes a 20 kilogram cart with a 10 Newton force. What is the acceleration of the cart? So think about which equation we'll use and go ahead and solve it. In this one, your equation should be A equals F divided by N. So A equals 10 newtons divided by 20 kilograms. So the acceleration is 0.5 meters per second squared. So now let's take a moment to review. Can you remember what is the definition of gravity and what is the law of gravitation? Can you think of these without looking at your notes? How'd you do? Gravity is a force of attraction between things that have mass, and the law of gravitation says that gravitational force increases when the masses are closer and bigger. So looking at the diagram, remember the force of gravity acts between all objects. If the mass is bigger, so if you have a bigger cart or a bigger car, the force of gravity increases. If the distance increases, that means they're further apart, then the force of gravity decreases. Now let's see, can you remember what is the definition of weight? How'd you do? Weight is a measure of the force of gravity pulling down on an object. So the equation for weight is very similar to F equals ma. The equation is W, which is weight, equals mass times the acceleration due to gravity. And then we're always going to use 10 meters per second squared. All right, let's review one of these problems. A person has a mass of 65 kilograms. What is this person's weight on Earth? Now remember, the acceleration due to gravity on Earth is 10 meters per second squared. Go ahead, set up the problem and solve it. All right, for this one, use W equals mg. So m, the mass, is 65, and g is 10. So 65 times 10 is 650 newtons. Let's talk a little bit about the test and what it will look like. So next week, when you take the test, either on Monday or Tuesday, you're going to join the Google Hangout at 9:45 a.m. So you're going to stay on the Hangout until your test is finished and turned in. And you'll notice that you've gotten an invitation from me in your Google Calendar, and it should look something like the one on the right. Now, during your test, no tabs are allowed to be open except for the test, the study guide doc, and Google Hangouts. So if you look at the image below, you see that the test is open, study guide is open, and the Google Hangouts is open. Now, no phones or chats are allowed. If you have the study guide printed out, you're allowed to have that with you. Finally, a parent needs to confirm that you followed these guidelines. So when you finish your test, you're going to actually take a photo of them with a thumbs up. I've sent them all emails so they know this is coming. And if for some reason you can't take a photo, you can have your parents email me directly. So in order for your test to count, you need to either have this photo or have an email from your parents to me. All right, let's talk about the culmination. So what will it look like? A couple of things. So note your bridge should be done at least 24 hours before you test it to let the glue dry completely. So with wood glue, it may dry in an hour or two, but really to let it soak into the wood and be as strong as possible, you should give it 24 hours. And don't wait until the last minute to work on your culmination docs. It's not a good idea. So if you go to your Google Classroom and you click on culmination, how do we engineer for strength? You'll notice there's some directions right here and there are a couple docs. So the first thing you should do is go ahead and open up the Google Doc that says culmination, how do we engineer for strength? And there are several parts of this, so please read all of the directions before you start your bridge testing. I wouldn't want you to test your bridge and realize you didn't do a step because you can't undo breaking your bridge. If you have questions, you can always email me or join office hours. So the first step is to take a photo of your bridge and upload it here. Make sure it's in focus, and you can even include multiple photos of your bridge. After you have a photo, you're going to weigh your bridge before you test it. So if you have something that looks like this, like a kitchen scale at home, this will work great. Now, most people won't have this at home, so if you don't have it, you'll leave this section blank, and you'll go ahead and be a little bit creative. So you need to find an object around your house that feels like it has about the same mass. So maybe it's a tennis ball or a book or a cereal or 10 sheets of paper or anything else you can find around the house that feels like it weighs the same as your bridge. When you find that item, you can upload your photo of that item right here. Step 3, you're going to set up your testing at home. So before you even test it, make sure you're not attaching anything to your bridge. You don't want to accidentally break your bridge before you're all set up. So the first step is you need to find 2 stools or chairs or tables that are at the same height and separate them by 35 centimeters. Now, you may not have a ruler at home. The cool thing is that your blueprint, actually you can use that as a ruler. So 55 squares equals 35 centimeters. Now, then once you have that set up, you want to gather the rest of the materials. The easiest way to do this is get a bucket or a kitchen pot and have water. Ideally, you can have a little block of wood or a small hard material you can attach your weight to. So you'll see in these first 2 photos, there's like these little blocks that they attach to. And then you need string or rope to tie around this piece. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 by 5, and you need to be a little bit creative. Now, before you start, if you are using water, make sure you get a towel because when the bridge breaks, your water might splash. So step 4, before you start any filming, before you start testing anything to your bridge, you need to set up your filming equipment because you're going to film this bridge testing experiment. So you can use your phone, your parents' phone, your webcam, your computer to record the test. You can even ask a family member to help you record it. So first you want to do a test run. Set it up. Is the video in focus? Is there enough volume? Can you see the whole setup? Set it up before you attach anything to your bridge. All right, step 5. This is where the testing is. You're going to press record on your phone or your computer or whatever you're using first, right? Because you can't undo the bridge breaking. So you want to make sure the film is rolling. You're going to place your bridge on your setup so it spans the 35 centimeter opening. Attach your setup to the bridge. And if you're using water, which is what I recommend, slowly add 1 cup of water at a time. You want to keep adding water slowly until the bridge breaks and the bucket drops to the floor. Then you can stop recording your video. And congratulations. All right, so now step 6. How much mass did your bridge actually hold? So if your bridge pieces fell into the bucket, remove them first. And if you have a bathroom scale, this actually makes it pretty easy. You can just place the whole bucket and the water and record the mass in pounds right here in the doc. If you don't have a bathroom scale, there's an easy way to calculate how heavy it was by measuring how much water was in the bucket. So, for example, if your bucket held 6 cups of water, right? So as you measure those out, you can actually do a quick calculation to find out how heavy that is. So let's say you wrote 3.6 cups. Now you just multiply that number by 0.52 because 1 cup of water has a mass of 0.52 pounds. And there you go. That's your mass of what your bridge could hold. Now, if you use a different method of testing the bridge, like canned goods or something else, you can record them as there. If you need help, just reach out to me and I can help you. All right, so now you've tested your bridge, you have it on film. Step 7, edit the video down to 5 minutes total. So if you're using a Chromebook, what I recommend is you upload the video to Google Drive and then you can edit it down to 5 minutes in Google Photos or WeVideo. If you have a Mac or iPad, I recommend doing the editing in iMovie. If you have a PC that uses Windows, you can download it to your computer and edit in Movie Maker. So, and then remember in the video, somewhere tell us how much mass your bridge was able to hold. All right, step 8, we're almost there. You're going to upload your edited video to Flipgrid, and I gave you a link here. And once your video is edited, you're going to comment on at least one other video on Flipgrid. So here are some things to comment on. What are the pros and cons of that bridge design? What did they do really well? Like maybe you give them props on they had a really complex design, or the bridge was crafted really nicely. What are some ideas you got from the bridge design that you might use in the future? And just remember to stay on topic because I monitor these. So right here, you'll just write whose video did you comment on. All right, so that's the main part of your culmination, but there's one last bit. So if you go back to Google Classroom, you'll see there's this analysis doc. So you click on that and you record your name, and this is where you're going to analyze your data and say, what would you improve for next time? If you could build a new bridge, what would you do? So your answer should be 2 to 5 sentences long, have specific details about what you would do in your new design. You can even have ideas from other students' bridges. It doesn't have to be just based on your testing. And then the last question, you need to justify these new ideas using things we learned in class this term. So this needs to include at least 2 scientific principles like Newton's first law, or tension or compression, or balanced and unbalanced forces. So when you're finished with that, you're essentially finished with the culmination. You go back to here and you click turn in, and you're done.